Hi everybody, this is Patrick Keeley for Lost in Games. Today we are going to review Alien Frontiers by Tori Neiman of Starling Games. This is the 5th edition of Alien Frontiers. As I understand it, this was one of the first Kickstarter sensation games that came out several years ago. I believe the mechanics at the time, too, were pretty revolutionary. There was a lot of buzz about it. I didn't get a chance to actually see it in a store until a few years ago, and that was the 4th edition, and it was like the big box 4th edition that had all of the expansions in it as well. And my challenge is that it was priced over $100, and before I spend $100 on a game, which yes, I have done that, but before I do that, I really want to make sure it is a game that I really know is going to be good. That's a lot of chickens to put in the hen house. So unfortunately, fortunately, it came out on Kickstarter last year, and there was the opportunity to spend and get the new 5th edition as well as the Factions expansion. And so I did break at that time and ended up getting the game and the Factions expansion, which all fit nicely into this box. So I'm going to give you an overview of the game, let you see the components as it's all kind of laid out. I'm only going to give you an overview of the base game. Maybe I'll come do the Factions game after I've given them a try. I haven't even tried them yet, but we have played the base game several times now. It's a good looking game. I think, I'm not sure the rules are revolutionary anymore, but that still doesn't mean that they're not fun, because they really are. And games don't always have to be revolutionary. Sometimes you just want to play a good, fun game, and this one looks like it's going to fit the bill. So I'm going to pause here, and then we're going to dive into the overview, and I will be back and talk about my final thoughts. So, Alien Frontiers. Let's take a look. Hey there everybody, we're going to do a brief overview of Alien Frontiers, the 5th edition by Tori Neiman. So as you can see, I've set the game board up here. We have the victory point tracker on this side. We have the game board itself, which I'll go through its different parts in a moment. You have the alien tech cards right there. You have the 2 players. Each player starts the game with 3 dice, each dice representing a ship in your fleet. And then you have the domes domed colonies you will be placing on the planet. The game will end when the final dome is placed by a player. At that point, all of the victory points will be tallied up, and whoever has the most points wins. Okay, so let's kind of talk about each of the parts of the game board and how a game turn works. So the victory point tracker, makes this interesting is this is a dynamic victory point tracker. And so as you are playing the game, you will be adjusting the victory point tracker. And I know that's rocket science, get it? I know that seems normal, but what that means is that as different players are taking their turn, they're going to be knocking you down, you'll be knocking them down, you'll be leaping ahead. So it is every turn you're recalculating kind of your victory points, and actually assembling victory points is very easy. And so it's very easy in the middle of a game if you're like, oh great, I think we forgot to tally up the victory points. It's very easy to go boom, 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 I've got 8 victory points. So that's great, because you are going to get distracted by all of the wonderful options in this game. Over here you have the alien tech cards. The alien tech cards are special abilities that you can bring into your hand that will allow you to do cool things or kind of violate or maybe even bend some of the rules of the different stations in the game itself. Okay, so let's take a look at the game map. So the game board here has the 2 primary resources that you are going to be using to do things are solar energy, and that is represented by those, and also lunar ore, and that is represented by those. During your turn, you are going to roll the dice, and based on the dice, you are going to assign your ships to various places around the board. Okay? And I'll go through all of the places in a minute. The ultimate goal is victory points. There are 4 different ways that you are able to get victory points. 1 is for each of your colony domes that is on a planet. 2 is if you are the only person in a region on the planet, you will get a victory point. Number 3 is there are a couple of cards in here, an alien city and an alien monument. If you have those cards in your hand, they will each give you a victory point. And 4, if you have a territory that happens to have the positron field in it, that will give you a bonus victory point. So on your turn, you're going to roll the dice, and then you're going to use those dice and put them on the board. And when you put them on the board, what that is going to do is not only allow you to do the ability of each of these board locations, very Eurogame-ish, but it also will block those locations so that other players may or may not be able to go there. So we'll just kind of make our way around, starting with the shipyard. So the shipyard is one of the most common places to go. And in the shipyard, if you have 2 dice that are the same, like I do there, 2 5s, I could assign this here, and I could get another ship. But to get another ship, I need 1 solar energy and 1 lunar ore. And they have none, so I can't really spend them there. So where I'll start then is actually, I need some materials. I'm going to start with the solar converter. So I will spend a dice there. And when I put it there, I'll literally set it right there. And I read, and it says if you roll a 5 or a 6, you get 3 ore. So if you get a 1 or a 2, you'll get 1. A 3 and a 4, you'll get 2. A 5 and a 6, you'll get 3. I have another dice here, which I will place over here at the lunar mine. The lunar mine is going to give me a ore for each die I place there. Okay, so hey, now I have 1 ore. I could place another die here, except for the dice that you place here has to at least be 1 higher than the highest existing dice. And since I roll doubles, I can't do it. So let's go back and start this over, and I'll show you this is what makes Alien Frontiers kind of a cool game. So if you remember, first I put the 6 here to get me 3, and then I put a 5 there, and I really want some more ore, but I can't get it. Well, if I would have been smart, I would have actually put the 5 here. I still would have gotten the 3. And then I could put 1 there, a 5, which would give me an ore, and a 6 is greater than the 5, so I could get another ore. Okay? That's how those resources work. So we'll just go through and continue and have another player's turn. So here's another player. They want to do kind of the same thing, right? So they're going to come here. They're going to put their 5 there. They're going to get their 3 resources. And they've got 2, but neither of these are greater than 6. They are effectively locked out of the lunar mine. So they can't even place it there. So what else could they do? Let's kind of go around and take a peek. So again, we talked about the shipyard. If you roll 2 dice that are equal to each other, and you have enough energy, and you have enough lunar ore, you can actually unlock one of your ships to pick up the next turn. Let's come up here to the terraforming station. The terraforming station is I found one of the least used places, but if you roll a 6, it'll allow you to, if you spend an energy and spend an ore, it'll allow you to immediately place a colony down on the map. Okay? I didn't roll a 6, I got 2 1s. Okay? I'll come here to the Orbital Market. The Orbital Market says if you have 2 that are equal, I do have 2 that are equal. And you put them there, you can trade in solar energy equal to the number on the die and get that many lunar ore. So if I take a look at this, great, I could use this. I could spend 1 energy and I will get 1 ore. I could even do it 1 more time if I wanted, but I don't. So now we've kind of completed the first turn. Now what happens is this player then pulls theirs back. And now things may not be locked. But for this player, as you can see, I will have plenty of room to get some more energy. But if I want to use this Orbital Market, I can't do it because this one has it blocked. You can't see it at this distance, but there are some spaces that are only for 3 and 4 players, and since we're only playing with 2 players, there's really only 2 boxes available right there. Okay, so this player comes along, and they roll the dice, and they're like, hey, I want to get a cool card. So they look over at the alien artifact, and the alien artifact says you can spend any dice and basically take these away and shuffle them and lay out 3 new ones. Or if you lay dice that are greater than 8, you can actually take a card. So they have enough, 7, they have a 10. They could put these 2 together, and they could put them right there, and that would allow them to pick a card. So I'll show you a card up close. This particular card is the resources card, and when you roll the dice, if you have more evens, you'll get 1 bonus resource, and if you have more odds, you'll get a different bonus resource. And now this will sit in this player's hand. Now the great thing about cards is they are very powerful. They can do a lot of things for you, but don't get too attached to them because it is possible for them to be stolen along with your other resources. So they still have 1 more left. What could they do? Hey, there's nothing on the mine, so they're going to go there. And now look at that. They have 2 solar and they have 2 ore. Okay, it's now Blue's player's turn. They're going to pull their dice back, and they're going to roll, and they get a 2, a 3, and a 5. Now let's just pretend that they have rolled a 2, a 3, and a 4. If they did that, they could come to the Raider Outpost. So for a Raider Outpost, if you have a run, you can do 2, 3, 4. It allows you to either steal 4 resources of any kind from your opponent, or it will allow you to steal a card. So guess what? They just stole this resource card. They now own it. Awesome. So it goes back to Yellow's turn. Yellow will go out there. They will roll the dice, and they will make a decision. And now eventually what's going to happen, let's just say in this case, they roll that. So they will take these 2 3s, they're going to come to that shipyard, and they are going to unlock this ship. It is now ready for business. And they are going to spend, because it is the first ship they're unlocking, 1 energy and 1 ore. So we'll throw those back in the supply, and then the shipyard is ready to rumble. So we'll say the Blue goes ahead and does their turn, and we'll just say that they stole all this ore. Say they went back there again, which I don't even think is legal, but I don't know. On this player's turn, the next time when they pick up their dice, they are going to have 4 dice now to spend, right? Which is awesome. So now they have more places to go, more things that they can do. So a big space that we haven't really talked about here is the Colonist Hub. So there's really 3 ways to get colonies down on the planet. And that is the Colonist Hub, the Terraforming Station, and the Colony Constructor. This is the most common. And after you've placed some dice and you've done some things, and you got nowhere else really to go, you can put a dice here. And what it does is it pops one of your domed colonies here. And on your next turn, you're out there, you roll the dice, and you spend a couple, but you really got nothing else to do. You can put these 2 here. And what it'll do is, it'll go 1, 2. When this makes it all the way down to the track, you get to land it on any colony that you have there. We haven't talked about this yet, but we will. So let's just say I'll go to Asimov Crater. Okay, that's how I get my colony there. And a colony is actually worth a victory point. Just having one on the planet. Okay. Another way you can get a colony is to actually, if you get 3 in a row, you can place them at the Colony Constructor. So this is pretty powerful. It's hard to achieve a 3 in a row, but if you do, you can bypass the whole Colonist Hub and just throw that down as well. Okay. The last way to do it is if you roll the dice and you get a 6, you can put it right here, and you can spend a solar, and you can spend an ore if you have it. I don't, but let's just pretend I do. Right? That will allow you to immediately go and throw a colony down. The catch with the terraforming station is if you actually use it, your ship goes back into the maintenance bay. You're basically sacrificing a ship to get a colony down on the planet. right? Okay, so let's talk about the planet now. The planet has several regions. Every region has a tile on it, which is a special ability that you can use if you land there, okay? So the moment you actually get a chance to land, you land in Asimov Crater. You immediately get a victory point for that, and then you get to take this tile. And this one, for example, says, hey, you get to advance any colonies you have on the Colonist Hub by one more. So if I add a couple dice there, I would go 1, 2, but because I own this tile, I get to go one more. So very powerful, some of these tiles. Very fought over. So if you look at the score here, I would have 1 point for the Asimov Crater and 1 point because I control this area. Okay? Now what happens if the other player, they're floating around right there. They roll their dice. We'll just say that's there. They roll their dice and they're like, okay, I am going to place one right there, which pushes this down. They have a choice. They can go to any of the outer regions and take their own tile. Or if they want, they could land here. And if they land in the same place that I have a tile, guess what happens? We are now contesting the Asimov Crater. And this goes back in here. More importantly, they get a point for landing it, but they don't control it. And since yellow doesn't control it either, they have to lose a point. Because remember, you get a point for placing a colony and a point for owning a region. So these are going to get fought over quite a bit. And this is, where the magic of the game is constantly as you see somebody rising up through the points, you are dropping colonies to block, maybe lower their points, etc. But on the other hand, you are trying to get as many colonies down. So in the main game, like I said, a winning condition happens when somebody lays their last colony, which it seems like it's going to take a long time. The first half of the game, maybe you'll get a colony or two out there, I guess I feel. After that, however, then it starts to be very hotly contested. And spaces will get hotly contested as well. There is a variant I read online, which is another variant of how to win the game, which I think is also quite fun. We kind of alternate between, which is that the 10 point, and it's easy to remember because there's kind of a star here. Whoever gets to the 10 point triggers the end game, and you basically finish the turn. And once you do that, whoever has the most points wins. What's cool about that is if they knock you below the 10, it's still game on, and you just keep playing rounds as normal. So that adds to a whole lot of back and forth in the game, which can be pretty satisfying with the game as well. There's also an expansion called Factions, which I haven't tapped into yet and haven't tried because we basically only played this game. So I think that is a suitable overview of Alien Frontiers. I'll be right back to give you my final thoughts on this game. Thanks. Okay, so that is an overview of Alien Frontiers, the 5th edition. So what do I think of the game? Well, let's start with the rule book. I would say Alien Frontiers is probably a light to medium complexity game. The rule book itself, this is the 5th edition, so the rule book is very refined. It has multiple examples. It has every alien tech card in there laid out how to do it. It's a very good rule book. At the end, you have the order of play, the victory conditions, and then you also have here's all the different spots on the board how they work. So this is going to lay face up in front of you while you're playing. Maybe if you have a question on a card, but most of the time I don't even look at this. Once you get the game, it's really not that complex of a game. That does not mean it's a bad game. I think when the game came out, it was considered revolutionary. That's what I've heard, that combining dice mechanics with resource management and Euro games was something that hadn't been done in that way. I know that Marco Polo out there has that similar style. I haven't tried that yet. It's on my shelf. We'll do a review about that in the future. But for Alien Frontiers, I don't think there's anything revolutionary about it now, but that still doesn't mean it's not a really fun game. And any game that makes it to the 5th edition has made it, you know, has really gone the distance. And so the rules are as refined. It's a beautiful box. It's beautiful components. This is probably the best, most accessible package of Alien Frontiers out there. So I would say if you're into light to medium Euro games with fast play times, I would give this one a shot. 2, 3, 4 players, very quick, 30 to 60 minutes. This is a good game that deserves a place on your shelf. So please subscribe, have yourself a good day, and don't forget to get lost in games.